to talk to you guys today. This is Eric Brent, EB Crypto, and I'm going to show you guys what I'm doing. Turn this camera around. I got my shoes off. I'm doing my early morning walk, and I'm at a park in Long Beach, California, and it's probably about 5 miles away from my house. So I wanted to say to you good people out there, trying to lose a little bit of weight. I bet put on too much weight. Was partying too much, living a good life, drinking beer and just hanging out on the beach. I was in the Dominican Republic for like 4 years, and the life there is just so more relaxed than here in the United States, where you got to always be on a hustle, 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 hustle. And so again, you guys, I'm gonna show you guys why I got my feet touching the ground. Okay, it's a reason why my feet are touching the ground. I got shoes. I'm not a hobo bum. I got shoes. But growing up as a kid, it was always assumed if you walked around barefooted, you was a hippie or a bum. Now, I would suggest to do this on the concrete, dirty concrete, where everybody is urinating, bums laying on the ground and stuff like that. I would not suggest that at all. I wouldn't suggest that to nobody. But the reason I got my feet, let me put my camera right here where I can talk to you guys. And I'm just waiting for more people to come in. But eventually, the people will see how I started this video with my feet on the ground. I want to keep my feet on the ground. I said, keep my feet on the ground, keep my feet on the ground. Why is my feet on the ground? First of all, you guys, the earth, it's about energy. Okay, everything is about energy. So today, this whirlpool effect that I'm talking about, and it's kind of a glare over there. I don't know if this is a good way to talk to you guys because I got a big glare behind me. I wonder if I can turn this thing around this way. It's kind of hard to position my camera this way. Let me see if I can, because today's subject I think is much needed. Nah, I like the other way better. I'm gonna continue. Let me turn my feet around again. You guys see my feet is on the ground. Yes, they are. It's in the earth. Why am I doing this? You guys know my channel is called Family Cash Machine, Follow the Money. But today we're going to talk about mindset and the whirlpool effect, which is definitely dealing with the global economics and you in particular and how it's going to affect you. So check this out. My feet is touching the ground. I took my shoes off today. Like I said, usually growing up, we saw people with their feet on the ground as bums. We thought people with their feet on the ground, touching the ground, was bums. I wouldn't suggest this, with on the concrete. No, sir. I would not suggest this on the dirty concrete with urination and all kind of different things going on. But let me get back to the subject at hand, the whirlpool effect. The whirlpool effect. First of all, I am, you guys know, starting a course, well, actually a private course, a personal course for 10 different people to come in and learn some things that they could benefit from right now. Let me put my camera here and keep my dang on feet on the ground. This is the reason I took my shoes off today. I took my shoes off today because energy, the ground. I needed to put my feet on the ground. You guys always have on tennis shoes. That's rubber. Rubber blocks electricity. Whenever you notice somebody working with high voltage, they use rubber gloves, rubber objects to protect the electrical volts from penetrating the body. Well, guess what? Right now, I want the electronic volts. I want the negative or the magnetic energy from the earth because it helps balance us out. Wow. And so it used to be a time when we walked around like that. We walked around with our feet on the ground. We walked around touching the earth because it was a form of balancing and staying in tune with the planet. Now today I'm talking about the whirlpool effect. Hi, how you guys doing? I'm gonna interact more with my constituents here on these particular comments. And I'm going to open up for questions and answers for you guys as far as what is going to be expected of me and what are you going to be expecting to happen in these one-on-ones with Eric Brent, with EB Crypto. What are the benefits and what are you going to get? And you guys are open to ask me questions because I'm going to be starting this thing. I already have 3 students, probably only room for 7 more right now. I'm only going to take 10 students for right now. Eventually, I'm going to open up classes for you guys to be able to learn more about what's happening in the world and how you can benefit. Now, let me break down to you guys what this whirlpool effect is. The whirlpool effect is basically, we're going to use an analogy, okay? And the analogy I'm going to use is basically when you have, I don't want to use the same analogy. When you have a ship, a huge ship, any huge ship in the ocean that sinks, there's been several unfortunate sinkings of ships over the years. So when a ship sinks, not only do you have to get out of that boat, not only do you have to find your way off of that vessel, you have to get within a certain radius away from that sinking effect. If you don't get away from that sinking effect, you get sucked down into this whirlpool, which is called the whirlpool effect. Now, guess what? America, being one of the largest economies in the world, pretty much the American dollar is the anchor currency that all the other currencies are connected to. Imagine there's an anchor, okay? And all these balloons are connected to this particular anchor. What happens when that anchor becomes not stable on the ground, or the ties of all the ties are cut? Hello. All the ties are cut from that anchor. The balloons have just float away. So this is what's happening with the global economy. America is that anchor. America is that gigantic vessel that carries all these other currencies. And when that vessel, the United States bonds, the United States dollar, the United States mutual funds and treasury bonds, when those start to sink, you don't want to be getting caught up in that whirlpool effect. What's up, bro? You don't want to be caught up in that whirlpool effect because you're going to get sucked down with it. This is one of the greatest economic events happening right now in the world ever in the history of the world. This is why I'm calling this one of the greatest exchanges of wealth ever in the history of the world happening right now. But it also represents one of the greatest economic disasters in the world. It all depends on what part of the coin you're on. It all depends on what you know and what you don't know. So I'm noticing that the United States government now, Donald Trump has decided to stockpile Bitcoin. Interesting. As a hedge against inflation. It used to be a time when this country had gold backing the dollar. If you guys go to my Instagram, you'll see where I have 2 different dollars. I have $1 and it says, upon the return of this dollar, the bearer of this note will receive the equal amount in gold. Okay? That was prior 1971. Then, now, if you look at the dollar, it just says Federal Reserve note. Nothing backing it. So this is getting away from sound money. All of this has something to do with what I'm doing. All of this has something to do with you learning about blockchain and cryptocurrency and a more decentralized cryptocurrency. Not centralized cryptocurrency. There's going to be a centralized digital currency too. That one you want to stay away from. That's going to be government control. That's going to be, they're going to have the ability to do negative interest rates. Now, I know you guys heard of zero interest rates, but you've never witnessed negative interest rates. What is negative interest rates? Negative interest rates is basically, say you got $100,000 in the bank. and they go 0.2 negative interest rates. With a digital currency, they can do that. They can't do that with cash. They can go zero interest rates and charge no interest, but they can't do negative interest rates. But with a digital currency, not cryptocurrency, a digital currency, they can do that. So basically what that indicates is if you had $100,000 in the bank in a year, it's going to be 98,000. 2% would be disintegrated, just gone. And so this is why they want to come up with this digital currency. It's very dangerous right now. There's certain plans that they have economically, because when you really understand, I'm not going to get into the whole debt today. I'm not getting into all of that because it's just too much for some people to fathom. I would have to do breakdown classes for you average people who are not economists. Okay, not saying you guys are, nobody is, intellectually impaired or nothing. No, but some of the economic mumbo jumbo, it's just too much to comprehend in one or two conversations. You have to kind of like break it down in layers for average people to understand it. But bottom line, the economic doesn't look good right now. The economy doesn't look good in America. The bond rate don't look good. The interest rates don't look good. The inflation rate don't look good. All of this stuff is negative, 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 negative. And if you don't do something, you're going to get caught up in that whirlpool effect, where that huge vessel sinks and everything in its radius is going to get sucked down with it. That's basically what I'm saying. So today, I really want to do a mindset. I'm doing more of a mindset training, because one of the biggest hurdles for most people when it comes to investing is the mindset. You need a mindset shift, and that whirlpool effect is not just economic, it's also social, because so many people in the world are negative, 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 negative. And you got to kind of break away from that and get into a crowd of peers around you that think like you, that's positive like you, that actually edify you and motivate you. Because if you're not around constant motivation and inspiration, you're going to sink right into the abyss of that whirlpool effect of the negative world thoughts and the negative energy. Oh, that ain't going to happen. Oh, you can't do that. Oh, that doesn't work. I've done so many things in my life that a lot of people told me I couldn't do. I've accomplished a lot of things that most of my friends told me wasn't going to work. And so it wasn't going to happen. But I got a hard head. That's something that I have. Sometimes it's bad because I got a lot of whoopings growing up because I am hard-headed. But in business, it was kind of good for me that I did have a hard head and I didn't believe everything people told me. And when I had a vision, when I had something I wanted to do, I followed through with it. And I defied a lot of the odds because I surrounded myself around individuals that motivated me, inspired me, and told me that, hey, you can do it, man, if you just stay positive and stay focused on what you're doing. So back to this mindset. Usually when I was doing webinars every day for a group of people that I created called the Family Cash Machine. They're still out there. There's a lot of people I talk to every day, over 600 students, probably about 20 or 30 of them. We talk every day. And so when I created that group, every Friday I would do a mindset training. I want to get back to the mindset training because one of the things I'm realizing when it comes to business, when it comes to making money, everything is mindset. Everything is mental energy, and everything is your belief systems. Okay, you have to really examine your belief systems, because if you don't believe you can do something, it's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. So I thank God, and I do believe in God. I'm not the most religious person, but I do believe in a higher power. I do believe in a super intelligent being that created all things. I do believe in nature. I do believe in, spiritualness. I believe in angels. I believe there's a positive light, a positive force in the world. I also believe there's a negative force in the world. I believe there, I don't know if it's a devil, but I do know there's demons and entities that are wicked and so I would imagine they must have a chief as well. If God is the author of good, there must be an author of bad as well. I mean, that's just common sense for me. So I try my best to stay in the light of positivity. I took my shoes off today because we don't let the earth touch our feet a lot. We rarely touch the ground. And the earth is probably one of the most magnetic energies that we can encounter on this, in our universe. So I let my feet touch the ground, took my shoes off so the rubber doesn't block the energy. Because as a melanated person, okay, melanin is deeper than what people think it is. At the core of your melanin grains, the granulin of the melanin, if they look at it in a microscope and they cut your skin and analyze it under microscopic analyzations, they see the core of it is copper. And the more melanin you have, the more melanated you are, the more copper components you have in your body. That's proof to me of the Quran, of the Bible, of the Torah, that man and woman was created from the earth, okay? There's copper in the earth. There's copper in your skin. Now, when you examine copper and look at copper, what is copper used for? It's the greatest conductor of electricity. Dang. So that means my body has an ability to absorb the electrical energy in the universe, which is what moves this planet. The sun shines on this planet, hits the planet on its axis. The planet is sitting like this, kind of angle. And when the sunlight moving at 186,000 miles per second, that's the speed of light, approximately. 186 miles a second, that's the speed of light. When it hits the planet, it spins the planet. Okay? When that same light of the sun hits Neptune, it spins that planet. All the planets move around the same speed, but because they're different sizes, a day on Neptune is different time than a day on Jupiter. A day on Jupiter is a different time than a day on Earth. A day on Earth is a different time than a day on Mars. But one thing that's consistent is they all obey the law of light. There's a lot of wisdom in that. So I'm pulling in, and you're pulling in light rays, absorbing light rays. So I need to ground it, because you got a positive and a negative. That's how things go. In a battery, you got to have a positive and a negative. So I'm pulling in the positive. The negative, right? Really, not really negative. It's more magnetic. Is the ground. So I am balancing myself out right now so I can get my energy to flow. This is not about my circulatory system. That's why I got on this workout suit, because I'm walking. I walk about 10 miles the last few days. I've been walking 10 miles, just to get my circulatory system working good. But this is about my spiritual system, my 7 chakras, my crown chakra, my third eye. You got the crown chakra, you got your third eye, you got this chakra, your throat chakra, your heart chakra. That's 4. One. Let me see. 1. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. This chakra right here is where they say the soul enters in the soft spot in the baby's head. Okay, so this crown chakra, third eye chakra, throat chakra, that's 3, 4. The 5th one is your navel. And below that is your lower nature. Okay, the lower nature, the animalistic nature. You want to operate from your higher chakras. Okay, this is all some metaphysical stuff, but this all goes with business. This all goes with how you think, how you operate. You have to understand these different energy ports, and you have to balance those energy ports, or you're operating from the lower part of your existence, which is lust, greed, envy. It's all connected. Selfishness, avarice, all of these different things come from that lower nature. I want to be a person and a man who operates from a higher nature. So this is why I'm connecting to the earth right now. It might be a little deep for most people. I'm not going to get too deep in that, but it's all about a mindset. It's all about making sure you're balanced so you can center yourself with your purpose in life. Everybody got a purpose in life, you know, and it's different. It's funny that we grow up in a society where the last thing we try to figure out is what our purpose is, which that should be the first thing you should figure out. Okay, so we go to school, we get a degree, we go all the way through grade school, all the way through high school, get to college. I'm going to go into a business major, get a degree. You know what? I'm going to change my major. Then we change the major again. Then we can get a master's. I don't want to go into medical. I'm going to change something else. We change all of this stuff when in ancient societies, the first thing they teach a child before they start school is their purpose in life. Damn. Then they educate that child towards its mission and assignment. Just the same thing happened to Jesus. If you think I'm jiving, why did the three wise men come to Jesus from all different parts of the world? The Magi, they came from different parts of the world, and they came and they understood that it was time for this child to be born, and they seeked this child out. They found this child through astrology, Eastern Star or whatever. This is all, this is all symbology. I don't think they followed no star to Jesus. I think this following the star in your scripture is symbolic for it was time. Based on the universe, it was time for this child to be born. And they understood that, and they went and seeked him out, and they told everybody, this is a special person. This person has this mission. This person has that mission. And even the angel came to Mary. Even the angel came to Joseph and told them his mission. This is very important because I made sure I told all my children when they were born, I helped them to first find the purpose they have in life. And then they can go from there and educate themselves towards their purpose. If your purpose is to be in the arts, that can mean you could be an actor. That can mean you can be a rapper. You could be a singer. You could be, a producer or director. But you are a person of the arts. That's your purpose in life. Now, how you find whatever your personal talents are, different. But my point is, this is what you should be asking in life. What is my purpose? What is my purpose right now in life? I know I get the most fulfillment out of helping people, teaching people. I get the most fulfillment, and I'm really good at guiding people economically and helping people to have money. So whatever it is that you do best and whatever it is that most likely you love to do is most likely your purpose in life. Wow. This is the questions we don't ask. And this is why we live our whole life and people are angry, upset, mad. And they just dissatisfied because they never asked the number one question in life, what is my purpose in life? Okay? I think we all should be helping each other. We all are put here to help one another. You can't tell me God didn't put us here to help each other. That's definitely something that every human being should be doing. It's helping somebody, And so in some kind of way, if it's just information, you helping a person. If it's just being kind to somebody, you helping people. I walk 5 miles here and 5 miles back home. I've got used to that. I've got used to walking 5 miles. And on my way, I speak to people. Hey, how you doing? ¿Cómo estás? Muy bien. Gracias. I just speak to people, whether they're Spanish, whatever, I speak to people. Shalom. Some Jewish people I see, shalom. I speak to people. I smile, because that's an exchange. It's an exchange. Now, I can kind of feel people out there. Some people don't want to speak to you. That's just how it is. Some people are not going to speak to you. They might be mad at the life. They might be upset, whatever. You got to feel that out as well. But I always try to exchange kindness. I always try to exchange some kind of greeting. And if it's anybody, I don't care, white, black, Spanish, Chinese, anybody on this planet greet me first, I'm obligated out of courtesy of a human being to greet them, to give them a greeting equal or better than that. That's just common courtesy, human being. See, there's a lot of laws, universal laws, that we got away from. But the universe works like this. Everything in the universe. If you think about this, let me calm down. I get so excited and passionate about teaching and talking. But I don't talk foolishly. I don't gossip. I don't get involved in, oh man, look at this, yeah, he ain't no good. Oh, he look funny. He this, that. Oh, his girlfriend cheating on him. Oh, his wife ain't no good. I don't get caught up in the filth. I don't entertain the negative conversations because that's what it is. You just wallowing in the mud. I try my best not to, but you hear things, people talk all around you all the time, and I always try to curb the conversation if it goes there with different individuals I interact with, because I don't like to get caught up in the gossip. I'm always trying to be involved in a positive conversation, an uplifting conversation, an inspirational conversation, because that's the higher self, that's the higher energies. And as long as I keep feeding that higher energy, it's going to guide me to a higher purpose. A higher purpose. I don't want to be caught up in the mud, waddling in the mud. If you notice the pig sit and slop. The pig loves slop. The pig loves filth. And the more filth you throw in there, he loved it. He loved the filth. That's a creature that loves filth. So I try my best. I'm not perfect, but I try my best to maneuver around the filthy conversations, talking about certain females that might have did certain things. I don't want to talk about that. I don't like to talk about certain men who might have fell subject to tricking with a woman. I don't want to talk about all that. I want to talk about uplifting things. I want to talk about how I can help somebody. I want to talk about how I can help you make some money. I want to talk about the kind of money you made on the information I gave you. These are the things that I want to talk about. I want to talk about how you were able to create different income for your family. I want to talk about how you've been able to buy your wife a better wedding ring. I want to talk about how you was able to buy a better car, put your kids in a better school. These are things I want to talk about. I don't want to talk about all that low level stuff. And the only way we're going to get these things is to entertain that energy. You have to entertain the higher energies in order to achieve higher things. So don't get caught up in that whirlpool effect, because 80% of this world is negative. Trust me. There's only maybe 10% of the world on a positive tip. This is not a positive world. This is a negative world, because that's what they feed in the media, that's what they feed in school, and that's what they feed in a lot of religions too. They feed this fear. And they don't really edify and uplift people and teach people the right way. Like I'm talking about spiritual, I'm talking about energy, I'm talking about balance, I'm talking about chakras, I'm talking about melanin. They don't talk about this kind of stuff in most religions. They just don't. They make the most melanated people feel like they're cursed. In fact, I don't want to offend nobody, but I know the Mormon Bible says that the black people is a curse from Ham. And that's just not true, because in actuality, Abraham was black. Let's go there. All the prophets was black. Heck, the Bible came out of African writings. It came from Northwest Africa. You had the Black Sea Scrolls. You had the Book of the Dead that are coming forth by day. You had the pyramid text. All of these books came out of Africa. Let's make it known. The Emerald tablets. All of this stuff came out of Africa. So it's funny how they made the people who created the religion the devil or the negative people. We born from a curse. No, we was Abraham's daddy. We was before Abraham. We was before, Moses. We was before Jesus. So we was actually come from the original people on this planet. I mean, it is what it is. It's not about race. It's just about truth. Because this truth has been twisted so much to where it gave people an inferiority complex, and you can't do no business with no inferiority complex. That's why I talk about race. This is why I teach my people who they are, because with them not knowing who they are, they're not going to enter business with a balanced mindset. They're going to enter into a business with an inferior mindset, and that's just not going to generate and create the kind of energy you're trying to create, because money is energy. Money is energy. Money is energy. So when you can create the right kind of energy, then you can start manifesting the kind of results that you're trying to get. But you got to have the right mindset. And that comes with the knowledge of self, knowing who you are, knowing your people, knowing history. I know a lot of histories in the world, whether it's Asian, whether it's the European history, but I don't know those histories to negatively talk about other people. I know those histories so I can properly put myself in perspective and accord to the annals of history of time and where I fit. And that gives me a certain sense of confidence. So when I go to a meeting as a real estate appraiser, there's some properties here in Long Beach. If anybody in California, they might have been to the Long Beach Promenade. There's $1 million condos down there. Anybody live in California, if you've been to Playa Vista, you've been to Playa Vista, there's condos there. I appraised most of those when they first started. When they were building them from blueprints, I built them. And so I had to meet with these mega developers, multi-millionaires, $300-400 million people. And when I walked in the room, when those projects were finished, they invited me to the celebration. After they sold all of these condos, multi-million dollar condos, and actually in Playa Vista, they got some $1 million homes too. Larry Johnson, basketball player at Grandma Mall, I appraised his home. It's like a 4,000 square foot home there in Playa Vista. I still got the check that he wrote me. I'm not saying this to brag. I'm just saying this because I enter business with confidence. And when I entered the room, multi-millionaires, they start talking like, damn, who's this guy? Who's that guy? And I'm just a regular person. I have nowhere near the money they have. I mean, at one time, I was worth probably 2 or 3 million, but I'm in the room with guys that's worth 100 million, 300 million. And they asking like, who's this guy? You know why? Because the energy that I'm generating is on their level. I'm kind of like looking at them eye to eye, toe to toe, 10 toes down, talking to them respectful, talk to them with confidence and assuredness. And I'm talking to them with a sense of what you want to call assertiveness. I'm assertive. And they looking at that like, damn, who's this guy? They probably looked at it as a little egotistical because they didn't understand a young black man in Los Angeles who they know probably don't have the money they have, but they don't know for sure. So they got to ask around and feel me out because my confidence level and my energy level is so high. And they wanted to do more business with me. And I still do business with some of these people today. They're investors. But it was the energy that I exude. Who don't want to be around good energy? I don't care how bad your day is. I don't care how bad your life is. Who don't want to be around good energy? A lot of people want to be around good energy because some people get sucked up in that whirlpool effect and they don't even know their energy is negative. They don't even know how to come out of the negative. Okay? So when they're around somebody who's assertive and positive and confident, funny and humble and intelligent, and I don't exude fear, it's like, wow, this guy's not, he's a man. He exudes that alpha male energy, but he's humble, he's intelligent. I ain't no punk. I grew up in Compton. I can't be no punk. You know? I grew up in the Cabrini Greens in Chicago and then moved to Compton. So I know how to scrap. But I generate an energy of welcomeness. I generate an energy of like I said, assertiveness and confidence, humility at the same time. I'm not proud. I'm not arrogant. I'm not trying to act like I'm hardcore and all that. I don't generate that kind of energy. But I also don't generate the kind of energy where you can play with me. I don't generate the kind of energy where, you know, I'm a punk. People see me in the streets. I've been all over the world. I've been in Dominican Republic. I've been in Santo Domingo. I witnessed gangsters, drug dealers, pimps. And anywhere I went in the world, even though I didn't speak Spanish, I see the pimp. I see the dope dealer. I see the jackers. But guess what? They see me too. They look at me, and I'm from the hood, so I recognize who they are. And they see me and they see I recognize that I recognize. And they recognize. They had not me and I had not them. Like, what's up? What's up? And that's why they don't want African American males in America from the hood, from the inner cities, traveling. Because we not traveling like do like some tourists. We recognize. Our antennas is up. We recognize the pimp. We recognize the prostitutes. We recognize the drug dealers. We recognize the robbers, the jackers, the thieves. We recognize that, and they recognize us. So there's a mutual acknowledgement there. So we don't really have problems. I didn't get robbed in Santo Domingo. I didn't get robbed in San Pedro. I didn't get robbed in Colombia. You know why? Because I see the jackers. They jack it. I recognize them. I recognize who the jackers are. I'm like, okay, they jacking people. So with that comes a lot of respect. That's all I'm saying. We run circles around the Harvard grad. We run circles around when I say we, I mean African Americans. If you just got a BA from a small college, if you don't have no education, but you're conscious and you're positive and you read and you get information and you educate yourself, you'll run circles around the Harvard grad because you got that street experience, street knowledge, and book knowledge. You got that experience, you got that recognition, you got that energy. It's energy. It's energy. And so when people recognize that, they're like, okay, this guy knows something. They don't know what you know, but they know you know something. Okay, this woman here, she knows something. This is why one of my most favorite characters on TV, the show don't go no more. One of my favorite characters was Cookie Lyons. And I remember this one episode, and that was played by Sister Taraji P. Henson. And I remember this one episode where she was dating the mayor. I think it was Taye Diggs was on the show. And she was dating the mayor. She did 15 years in prison, which nobody's trying to do all that time in prison. She sold drugs with Lucius Lyons. And they built this huge empire record company. But she was around all these bougie sisters. Oh yeah, we live in Martha's Vineyard and we got a house over here and over there. And they were so bougie. And so they tried to shit on her. Excuse my expression, but they tried to like shit on her. Like, who are you and where you come from? What's your family background? You know, they did the whole pedigree thing. Try to check her education level. You know, they really, what fraternity she in. All this old bougie stuff. And so she told them, she did 15 years in the pen or whatever, and they was kind of shocked or whatever. But she was dressed to the T. She had on all the name brand stuff. And when she walked away, Taye Diggs said, oh yeah, that's Cookie Lyons. She runs a multi-billion-dollar record company. And they was like, whoa. Her money was way higher than theirs, but it wasn't the money that impressed me, or it was the fact that she could relate to them, but she wasn't bougie. She was a sister that was stomped down sister, but she also was classy, but she wasn't bougie. She can go ghetto, but she wasn't ghetto. I just like that balance that she had, because I lived in a neighborhood. My first house was in an area they call Black Beverly Hills here in California, Baldwin Hills. Actually, I was in the View Park area, which is right across from the Baldwin Hills. You got View Park, Windsor Hills, Ladera. Okay, that little area right there is kind of the elite black area in California. That was my first house that I bought for my family there in View Park. So there was a lot of people in that neighborhood that were from generations of black wealth. You understand me? They was from generations of black wealth. So what I mean by that is their father was a doctor, their grandfather was a doctor, their great-grandfather was a doctor, or they are congressmen, their grandfather was a congressman, their great-grandfather, they come from generations of money. I mean, they had real money. I'm talking about sending their kids to $40,000, $50,000 a year schools. This in grade school, this in high school. I mean, they were sending their kids to, what is it called? Archer School for Girls. There's a couple other prominent schools I can't remember right now. But Brentwood, a school in Brentwood, these schools was $40,000, $50,000 a year. These are black people. They were sending their kids to these schools. Okay, and they had 3, 4 kids. So they spending $150,000 a year on school before you even get to college. So they had real money. They matriculated from, Tuskegee. Some of them went to Howard. Some of them went to, different black colleges. And some of them was, matriculated from there to USC, UCLA. And when you're around these people, some of these people were so damn bougie. It irritated me to my core. because I'm just an average brother from the hood, but I made it to a level where my kids was going to Beverly Hills High. My wife was driving a convertible Benz that I bought her. I lived in $1 million house, but I'm balanced. I'm humble. I'm not sitting here. Wasn't in no fraternity, So when I got around some of these people, they annoyed me with this. Well, what fraternity did you go to? Where does your wife go to? And what school did you go to? And this and that. And what does your father do? That stuff just irritated the hell out of me, because it got to a point where it wasn't even relatable to average people amongst my peers, amongst the black community. It wasn't even relatable. It was a elite group of black people who pretty much look down on other black people. There's a book out that I want you guys to read if you get a chance to read it. It's called Our Kind of People. And it talks about and shares with you all of the quote unquote elite people amongst African Americans. I was trying to see how many people we got here. And so the elite people amongst African Americans that are come from generational wealth. Okay? And there is some that's not athletes. There is some that, not entertainers, and they come from millions and millions of dollars. If you ever watched the movie Jumping the Broom, Angela Bassett family was one of them families. They had a big old house in Martha's Vineyard, and she said her family owned slaves. remember that movie? They come from that kind of generational wealth of black families that had generational wealth ever since the Reconstruction period. Do your research on these type of families. There's a lot of them, and it's all started from that whole house Negro, field Negro stuff. But I'm going back to this mindset. The mindset has to be correct in order for you to generate the kind of income you're trying to generate. If you find somebody who makes $1 million a year, and then you find somebody that makes $10 million a year, you would think those two have the same mindset. I'm telling you, they don't. If you find somebody that makes $10 million a year and somebody make $100 million a year, you would think those two have the same mindset. I'm telling you, they don't. They don't have the same habits. They don't have the same mindset. These are two different levels. If you find somebody who's never touched $1 million and a person who has touched $1 million, these are two different mindsets. So in order to elevate your income, you got to elevate your mindset. Don't get caught up in this whirlpool effect of society. It's sad right now for me. Sometime when I'm with my mom is 82 years old. And sometime when I'm with my mother and I look at my people, my heart hurts. Because it almost seemed like to me that ghettoism is the culture of black America now. The more ghetto you is, the more black you is. And I'm like, when did we come to this level where we just gotta be ghetto as hell? It's annoying to me. It's annoying. I don't say nothing. I don't say nothing. I don't want to get no argument, no fight with nobody. I just let people be people. But I'm noticing how we have degraded ourselves so low to where this whole ghetto mindset is the culture of black America. Tell me if I'm wrong. This is what I'm seeing. This is what I'm witnessing with our women, with our men. Most women, most of the girls now, not my age, but a lot of the young girls, they want the most ghetto-fied dude they can find. And then they wonder why he's a deadbeat dad. Then they wonder why he's dogging her out. I mean, it's your choice. You're picking the most ghettoest guy, in the neighborhood. And it's the same with the girls. I mean, I'm noticing, when I go to funerals or when I go to church or when I go to the grocery store, any public place, it just appears to me, maybe this is just in California, I don't know. It appears to me, no, it's not just in California, because I've been to Chicago. I've been to pretty much most of the states in the United States with the exception of Maine, Montana, Connecticut. That's it. I've been to pretty much all the states in the United States. I've been to Alaska. It's probably about 5 states I haven't been to. And this whole ghetto mindset is like becoming the culture of black America. And it's very sad. It hurts my heart because I'm in the impression right now, the way I think is, in order for us to change our condition, we got to change our economics. We have to go to economic war. because all these other ethnicities around the world or in America benefit from the American economics, but we don't benefit it as much. We should, but we're not really benefiting as much as we should as long as we've been here. There's people that got here in the last 100 years, and their race is doing way better than us, and we've been here over 300 years because we're not taking full advantage. You got to remember, I lived in a foreign country for 4 years. They don't got EBT. They don't got Section 8. They don't have SSI. They don't have unemployment. They don't even have retirement plans in some of these countries. So for us to have the benefits, Medi-Cal, Medicaid, none of that. So for us to have this type of benefits that we have, it's no excuse why we shouldn't be doing better than we're doing collectively as a people. Yeah, we got millionaires. We got a few people millionaires. But the sad statistic is this. In the Jim Crow era, in segregation, there was a Wall Street Journal magazine, a Wall Street Journal article that came out back in the 90s, and I read it, and I was like, wow. And this article said, under the Jim Crow segregation, no, I'm gonna reverse it. It said today we have more millionaires, we have more billionaires today than ever in the history of this world, in America. And black people was just like, oh yeah, great. I mean, wow, yes, we made it. But also, same article said we have less black businesses. We have less black businesses than we had in Jim Crow and segregation. So on one side, we got more black millionaires, more black billionaires, but on the other side, we got less black businesses. Now, if you know anything about business, I took several business classes. 2/3 of the national economy, 2/3 of the jobs in the national economy is provided by small businesses. 2/3 of the job market is created by small business. So that tells me we got more money, but we got more of an individual mindset. Oh, I got mine. You need to get yours. Or what you doing? Oh, I got this. Whoa, whoa, whoa. We got more of a separated mindset. We got more money, but it's not collectively used to benefit our people. We have more black hotels, but when they open up the other hotels, the black hotel closed because everybody wants to go to the big establishment. The same thing with the Negro League. Every state had their own baseball team, Negro League. But when they opened up for Jackie Robinson to go to the big leagues, they really was looking at economics. Because you had Josh Gibson, who hit 900 home runs. When Babe Ruth, who was the greatest, hit only 600 that year. Josh Gibson hit like 900. And Josh Gibson wasn't swinging against no bums. He was swinging against people like Satchel Paige, who at the age of 42 threw a no-hitter, and he pitched the whole 9 innings. It's unheard of today. There's nobody pitching 9 innings. It's unheard of. And pitching a no-hitter for 9 innings and at 42? Come on, man. This is the level of performance that black athletes was performing at. Okay? So the numbers was dwarfing the major leagues. And so the owners of the team was like, okay, this Negro League is growing. The fan base is huge. They making money. They breaking records. So they had to find a way to get that over to the major league. It wasn't about equality. It wasn't about freedom. It was about money. Period. Remember, my channel was Follow the Money. So I'm always talking about the money. It was about the money. How can we get that money over here? How can we get that crowd over here? How can we get those statistics over here? That's what it was about. And slowly, after they bought Jackie Robinson, because they had to bring Jackie Robinson first, because Josh Gibson would have bust somebody over the head with a bat. He wasn't too controllable, okay? Satchel Paige either. And these guys were kind of radical. These guys was kind of revolutionary. So they bought over Jackie Robinson because Jackie Robinson was in the military. Jackie Robinson went to UCLA. Jackie Robinson was from California. He had more of a liberal mindset. He didn't grow up on the South down there. So, and then he was already used to being integrated amongst different groups of ethnicities. So he was a perfect pick, and he was a good baseball player. But it was his mindset that they saw, and then they had to still talk to him. If you watch the movie, if you watch his documentary, read his book, they had to still say, calm down, man. You know, it's okay. Let them spit on you. Let them curse you out. Let them hit you with the ball. Don't retaliate, because we're trying to get more brothers over here, and we don't want them to say, you guys cannot handle the racist, discriminative things coming at you. He had to tolerate a lot of bullshit, you know, for other brothers. That's what I respect Jackie Robinson for. He had to take a lot of BS. He had to get his mindset on a level of sacrifice, and his mindset on a level of pretty much taking bullshit for other brothers to be able to come over there and have that benefit. So he sacrificed a lot. So he deserved every accolade that he get right now. Every accolade. And of course he broke all the records, because he was the first black guy in the major league. So all their records was already being broke. But they didn't be acknowledged because they was in the Negro League. All those records in major league already was broke in the Negro League. But because we were black, it didn't count. So this is what I'm talking about, you guys. This is like the mindset. We got to come out of this whirlpool mindset, this whirlpool effect. Like I said, African Americans right now, the whole culture is just ghettoism. If you watch the BET Awards, NCAA Awards, oh, this is ghetto, ghetto, ghetto. I'm like, wow. Do I even want to go to these awards? I gotta be Compton EB. I gotta go back to Compton EB to be you know, to fit into these awards. I can't go as a civilized individual because I'm gonna be an outfit. I gotta be ghetto. That's kind of like the culture of black America right now. And this is why we're not respected around the world. You know, but like I said, when I go places, I'm respected. I'm respected because they can see that hood in me, but I don't exude that. They see if they go there with me, I can go there with them. But I don't have to go there with them because I deal with people with the greatest of intelligence. I deal with people with humility. I deal with people with courtesy and respect. And I get the same thing back. Okay? So, it's all about mindset. If the mindset is right, the energy will flow. Wherever the thoughts go, energy flow and money will follow. So once we start generating the right kind of energy, mentally, spiritually, guess what? It's going to bring the money that you need. If you talk to any successful businessman, they always talk about the people they're around. You know, when I look at Shaq surrounded himself around business-minded people because he realized that he was taking care of his whole family, and he realized that most athletes go broke. In order for me to perpetuate this after I'm not playing ball, I got to invest. I got to invest in some things. So in this economic vacuum right now, as things are shifting, as the inflation and the purchasing power is diminishing, it's costing more and more dollars to do more and more things. And once Japan continues to sell all their bonds, and I'm going to go into bonds one day, when they sell their bonds, it's forcing the value of the dollar down. Because a bond is nothing but a promise to pay back debt. And a bond is American dollar debt. But when countries buy the debt, they're demanding now, because we just lost our AAA status, they're demanding a higher amount of payback, which is increasing the return, but it's diminishing the value of that bond and lowering the dollar value in itself. It's all connected. So when people in the public think, oh man, what's going on in the bond market don't affect me, bullshit. Everything in that bond market affects you. Everything on Wall Street affects you. And I'm going to say something. If you start learning how to position yourself, there's certain things you can invest in right now, like some certain cryptos. When the bonds fall, those cryptos go up. This is why I live on investments. Because investing and having the right understanding of mindset of what crypto I should invest in based on the dollar going up or going down, I make money no matter what. If I think the dollar going up, I know what cryptos to buy. If I think the dollar going down, I know what cryptos to buy. I'm making money no matter what happens in the world. And I'm not the only one. There's a lot of people like this. And they just sit back. It doesn't matter if we're going to a war. It doesn't matter if we're going to a recession, a depression. They sit back and they pivot to different positions. And they make money no matter what happens. That's what banks do. So this is what I'm offering you guys in my one-on-one sessions. I'm not going to give you one-on-one. You're going to get at least 5 sessions from me, 2 to 3 hours. And I'm going to be your lifetime coach. So when you come to me and say, hey, Eric, what you think about this? I'm not getting paid on that. I'm going to say, that's a scam. If it's a scam, I'm going to advise you. I'm not going to tell you where to put your money. You put your money where you want to. But if I think it's a bad scam, I'm going to show you the scam. Look at this. This is a scam. I'm going to show it to you because I don't want you to lose your money on something that I know is a scam. Okay? I have experience at this. I've been investing my whole life. I've pretty much never had a job in my life. I think when I was 18 years old, I had a job. I'm 60 now. I put 4 kids through college. I've been in like 8 different countries. I lived in one for 4 years. I've done a lot of things in my life. Had 7 Mercedes-Benz, 30 properties, and I never had a job because I invest. I'm not bragging. I'm just telling you, you're not going to be rich working. It's just not going to happen. I'm not knocking working. I'm not knocking working. Because if I have to go back to work, I will, but I'm going to always invest. If I have to go back to work, it's just to have money coming in consistently to invest. That's what I'm doing. I see some investments that I might not have the capital right now to do, and I'm going to go work so I can boom, 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 put that money in these investments. Because eventually, those investments blow up and you don't have to work. I'm just using that as an example, okay? I'm using that. I'm not knocking nobody to work, but you should never just work and not have no investments going. You should never do that. You just know because right now the cost of food is going up. 2.4% a year inflation on food. 7% a year inflation. And they don't even count food in that factor. When I found that out, I was like, this is the biggest misinformation in the world. How do you not add food to inflation? How? How do you not add food in the equation of what determines the inflation rate? Everybody needs food every day. So this is what I'm saying. It's okay to work a job, but you should always have money just working for you. Working for you. So one day you don't have to work. So one day you don't have to work. Or when you retire, you got a nice little nest egg. Because the 401k is not going to do it. It's not going to be enough because the problem with having money in the bank, sitting still, or they're paying you 1-2%. Inflation 7% a year. You're losing. That means you're losing 7% of purchasing power on your dollar a year. Not to count the 2.4% inflation on food of purchasing power you're losing a year. So money sitting is really money diminishing. You have to have money growing, making money. Whether it's 3, 5, 6% a month, you got to have something going. Even if you're only getting, 20% a year. If you're doing that, you're doing great. It adds up, especially when you add the compounding effect to that. This is what I teach people. I teach people how to let their money work for them and how to put their money in smart investments. Okay? I don't do a whole lot of stocks, but sometimes I do a few little stocks, but mainly I do a lot of decentralized currency. And I do that because I can dip in and dip out without broker fees. I can dip in and dip out without the government mandating, calculating, or even taxing me on some of that stuff. I don't have to pay taxes on a lot of my crypto until I pull it into cash. But guess what I do? I do as much as I can with crypto. When I was in Dominican, I was renting one place for my crypto. I was giving the guy Bitcoin every month. That means I had no taxes on that because it's a barter. See what I mean? I bought my car and I gave the guy $5,000 for my car in crypto. You know what that means? I didn't have to report that to taxes because it's a trade-off. So if you got millions of dollars in crypto, you can learn how to use that crypto as a medium of exchange and purchases And now you don't have taxes on that $1 million of crypto that you got. Now, in the minute you bring that $1 million into cash, you got to pay taxes because now you're using their instrument or medium of exchange, the dollar, the currency, to exchange things. They don't tell you that. They just tell you, like my Cash App sends me notices all the time. Oh, pay your taxes because I buy crypto on Cash App. I take my Cash App sometime and I buy Bitcoin. And so every year, Cash App sends me a request to pay the taxes. But why would I pay taxes on something I purchased with money that's already taxed? See, some people think, oh, I got to pay taxes on my crypto, so they pay the taxes. And the taxes they're going to take the money from you. Trust me. They're going to take the money. But why would you pay taxes on money that's already been taxed? I'm purchasing crypto with money that's already been taxed. That's double taxation. That's illegal. This is what the Revolutionary War was fought behind. Double taxation. Okay? So you can't do that. But if you don't know, you don't know. And if you're scared and you full of fear and you don't have the knowledge, then they're going to take advantage of you. So when I buy crypto, I don't pay taxes on that. Now, if I cash it out and that crypto made income, then I have to pay taxes on it. But if I don't cash it out and I use it as a barter, I don't have to pay taxes on it. I just taught you guys something very valuable. Very valuable. That's why I got 80% of my wealth in crypto. That's why. Because the dollar value is diminishing. The U.S. government now is finna buy Bitcoin to back the dollar. So now Bitcoin getting more value and it's being more of a store of value, something that could solidify value. It's not looked at as a Ponzi scheme no more. But guess what? I don't have a lot of Bitcoin. I got a lot of other coins that's making me a lot of money, but I can always change them for Bitcoin. Any cryptocurrency you can exchange for Bitcoin. Like that, in seconds. So when I want to do a deal, if I got $2 million worth of post-chain coins, I can take 20,000 and flip it over to Bitcoin in 20 minutes, and boom, they'll take the Bitcoin. They don't know about post-chain. Who cares where you make your money, long as you make your money? 200% is 200%. I don't care if it's post-chain, Ethereum, XRP. 200% is 200%. 1,000% is 1,000%. Who cares where you make it? I can always flip it over to US dollars. I can always flip it over to gold. I can always flip it over to Bitcoin. This is the game. And guess what? A lot of times when I do purchase, I don't do it under my name. I do it under a corporation or I do it under a trust fund. That's a whole nother level. These are the kind of things I'm going to show you guys. I don't want people to just get a bunch of money and not know what to do. Because now it doesn't add up. If you have multi-million dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars and don't have no knowledge and understanding how to maneuver with it, it could be disastrous. You can end up broke again. So with money, with money and leverage and resources, you have to get the information. But again, you got to generate the kind of right energy. The energy that you generating got to be right to attract the right people. If you came on my channel and you've been following me, then you are creating a certain kind of energy to pull certain people in your life. Not saying I'm that one. There's a lot of people like me that will give you information, okay? The right information that you need in life. If you're starting to attract those kind of people, that means you're generating the right kind of energy that you need to succeed. So that's what I'm going to say, and I'm going to get off this call. I've been on here over an hour. Start generating energy. Start being more conscious about who you're around. Start being more conscious about picking people who can add value to you. Okay? Pick certain people who can add value. Get away from the gossip. Get away from the ghettoism. Get more inclined to be around the people that can inspire you and motivate you. If you got 3 people around you that's doing better than you, guess what? Your economic condition is going to change. If you're hanging around, if you're around 3 people that's doing worse than you, guess what? Your economic condition will probably decline. It's just that simple. Trust me on this. Nobody around me is doing worse than me. Everybody around me is doing equal or better than me. And that's how I continue to elevate in life. I'm always around people that can inspire me, motivate me, and can point me in directions or add value to me. That's what life is about. If you're not growing, you're diminishing. It's only two forces on the planet. I keep talking about the duality of the law of the universe is duality. You either constructing or destructing. It's just one of the two. There's no such thing as setting still in the universe. Nothing sets still. Everything is disintegrating or creating. It's growing or it's disintegrating. It's not one. There's no one or two ways about it. So I'm always trying to grow. I'm always trying to evolve. I'm always trying to, you know, to elevate. That's what it's about. And so this how you stay away from that whirlpool effect. You got to be conscious about it. You got to be really understand that the economics is diminishing. That means you got to move different. You got to learn different stuff. You got to be around different people. You got to start investing. You got to start understanding crypto, blockchain technology. You got to start understanding bonds and the gold and how this stuff works. I teach all of that stuff. And I give it to you in such a simplified way to where you're just like, oh, that's how that works. The economic channels, the economic classes, and some of these economic people, they have really mastered boring your ass to death. And they want to bore you to death because most of the economic institutions want to manage your money. They don't want you to understand it. I want you to understand it so you don't have to rely on people with all of this economic mumbo jumbo that just want to lose you, don't want you to get the concept, so you can rely on them. And that's how you get scammed. That's how you get, taken advantage of and stuff like that. But when you understand these things, when somebody breaks it down to you on a layman's level, then you can say, oh, I can see it now. I can see how the United States economy is going to crash. I can actually see it now because I'm explaining all these different moving parts that's going on, that's happening simultaneously with you. So whether you understand the economy or not, whether you believe it's going to crash or not, has no relevance on what's happening. Okay, this thing's gonna happen with you or without you. The greatest exchange of wealth right now is gonna happen with you or without you. It's happening every day. So you might as well be actively a part of this and put yourself and position your family in a position where you guys can win. I'm telling you, it's so much money to be made right now. It's just like, I have to tell people. I have to tell people and I have to make myself available because I realize I can help impact a lot of lives who most likely won't get this information. In my peers, most of my peers won't get this information if I'm not out here, or people like me from my race and ethnicity are not out here to guide you guys. So again, contact me. I left my email underneath this video. Anybody that wants to be a part of this movement that I'm creating, anybody that wants this information that can help impact your life, anybody that wants to know how to be on the right side of history, that want to learn how to pivot no matter what happens. If the economy goes up, the economy goes down, you know what to do and how to make it benefit you. Anybody that's interested in that, I'm taking 10 students right now. Contact me so I can get you guys in this one-on-one. One-on-one is the best way to learn. Trust me, because now you got access to me. You can talk to me. You can ask questions. Anything that comes to your mind. We don't all learn the same. Everybody's aptitude, everybody's absorption of knowledge is different. So when you have one-on-one access with a person, that is the greatest way to elevate, to educate, to retain information, because now you have all your questions can be answered and you can grow at your own rate. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and close out. You guys, it's always been a pleasure. Have a happy Friday, happy weekend. Keep positive. And hey, go connect to the earth like me. Put your feet on the ground somewhere and connect to the earth. You're going to feel the difference when you put your feet on the earth. It's going to be like a breath of fresh air. Like, whoo. When I took my shoes off today, it was like, whoo. It's like a big woosah came over me. I can't make this stuff up. Try it yourself. Go to the beach, put your feet on the sand. Really put your feet on some grass. I don't want to say sand because sand is really glass. It's really broken. They use sand to make glass. Put your feet on the grass, on the earth, not on the concrete, because concrete blocks that energy too. Put your feet on some grass, and I'm telling you, you're going to feel your whole spirit is going to just breathe. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and sign out. Anybody have any questions, email me and find out, how to get into class, how much it's going to cost. I'm taking like 80% off the cost just for this 10 people, these special 10 people. It's about 80% off. That's not going to happen no more. Next month, I'm going back up to the regular prices because I get it all the time. You know, a lot of wealthy people call me and they have plenty of money. They got real estate, but they don't understand crypto. And they know it's by the numbers, it's one of the best performing assets in the world. So they want the information. They don't have no problem paying me. But I want to give it to the needy, not the greedy. I want to help impact those that need it the most, okay? Some of the people I deal with in real estate, they're going to be all right. Trust me. They got property. Some of the people I deal with have 200 and 300 properties that are like 300 units in Santa Barbara. You know what kind of money they got? One property is making 70,000 a month. That's net operating income. That's after all the expenses. That's just one of their properties. These are the kind of individuals I encounter as a commercial real estate appraiser. They're going to be all right. But they want to learn how to get into this crypto world because they see the writing on the wall that everything going digital. And they see where they can amass huge amounts of wealth that can't be confiscated by governments, because gold can be confiscated. Well, that's another conversation. Next week, we're going to talk about gold versus crypto. Gold can be confiscated. The government did it before. And there's a lot of states right now where it's still illegal to have gold. Wow. That's why you get gold certificates. I don't trust gold certificates because that means I got to trust somebody to hold my gold. No. This time that we're living in is going to require for you to hold a real asset, whether it's crypto, whether it's real estate, whether it's stocks. You're going to have to hold a real asset because the money is, the inflation is finna go crazy because we'll never pay back that $37 trillion in debt. In fact, we like 1.5 million a year just in the interest alone. $1.5 trillion a year in the interest alone on that debt. We'll never pay that back. And so I think the government right now is banking on the growth of our economy growing faster than the debt. That ain't gonna happen because all the jobs have been gone. You know, China and India, they got the cheapest labor. It's just still, those days are not coming back. That's a wrap on that. So we're not going to outperform in income the debt. It's just not going to happen. So the writing is on the wall, and all the countries now are asking the question to America: how long do you think we can keep this debt going? That's the biggest question right now. From Japan to America, from some of our biggest bondholders, they just like, hey, how long do you think this can go? And that's why we lost our triple rating with Moody, Fisk, and S&P. The global triple rating for the first time in 100 years, since 1920, is gone. We lost our triple rating with one agency about 5-6 years ago, but this is the first time we lost our triple rating with all three agencies. And what that means is they all feel like you're not gonna pay this back. This is debt is out of control. So we now feel like we need to lower your rating of credit because the probability of you getting sucked up by that credit in that whirlpool effect is higher. So this is why, you know, countries want more money to buy our bonds because they want to get paid more interest to buy a U.S. bond because the probability is higher. It's not going to get paid off the debt. So they want to get paid more money to hold debt. It's just basically what it is. So all of this is going to affect you, whether you know it or not. It's going to affect you. So you need to learn how to start investing in other things other than U.S. dollars. You need to start holding things other than U.S. dollars because it's not looking good for you if you just got your money in the bank and you don't have no crypto, you don't have no gold, you don't have no real estate. It's not looking good at all. So I am here for you guys. I'm definitely, like I said, I got one more person now just came in and wanted to get a class. So now I'm down to 6. I got 4 classes sold. I might do more, but right now I'm just only taking 10 students at that price. I don't think I'm going to keep that price going. That price is only for 10 people. I'm not going to stop teaching, but I'm at some point I'm going to have to stop doing the one-on-one. I'm just not going to have the time to one-on-one 100 people. It's just not enough time in a day. I can only do one-on-one with 10 people. That's it. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and close out. You guys have a great weekend. This is EB Crypto, Eric Brent signing out for you guys again. Deuces from Long Beach, California. And have a great evening.